I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, April 4th, 2022, 2023. If you'd rise and help me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for participating in that. Commissioner Coons is absent and he will be calling in at 10 o'clock. Since I'm the vice chair, it falls to me. Are there any additions to the agenda?
We have one addition. It is a grant letter of support. A grant letter of support for the Colorado State Forest Service incentives for local government review. This is to add to the Delta County Priority Watershed for the Wildfire Council. And this met the requirements. We were notified Friday that they needed a letter of support by the county commissioners for a grant that is due today.
Okay, thank you. And then item number 4, we're going to.
Oh, yes. So item number 4 will be moved to April, the next 18th. So we'll take item number 4 off of the agenda today. Thank you, Terry.
And that's a full body scanner.
RFP 07.
Okay. So the agenda will be approved as amended. Now is a constituent time. Is there anybody in the room that would like to address the board? If you'd come up, state your name and address and
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Lisa Martinez. I live in Austin, Colorado. So I guess I put down that I'm here to talk about Senate Bill 23213. And I just have a couple of notes before I do that. The radical position that our state has begun to take is really concerning the state of Colorado. This little note is unrelated, but I will circle back around. It's not enough that we are the most radical state for abortion now. They have passed legislation to try and take out pregnancy resource centers. That is where I work. And my question is why? Why can't they just do what they do and leave us alone to do what we do? Now they're trying to shut us down. We are a nonprofit and we are funded by donations. And should we get involved in these legal battles, it would drain our bank accounts quickly. So that's my question is why is the state of Colorado gone so far left? And this new legislation that is on the floor today that has apparently put a stop to our affairs here in Delta County is Senate Bill 23-213 for land use. Funny, I've been watching some movies that are mentioning land use. Senate Bill 23-213 represents the most sweeping attempt in recent Colorado history to remove local control and home rule authority from elected leaders, professional planning staff, and the people of Colorado. This bill dramatically expands state authority by imposing top-down zoning and land use standards on municipalities. So what we're doing here affects unincorporated, and this from the state affects municipalities. And it puts those decisions into the hands of developer interests and unelected third parties. It does not recognize that local governments are best suited to address our own needs and that of our communities. It flies in the face of local government efforts to solve the affordable housing crisis. And our opposition is requested by the Colorado Municipal League. It's an overly broad, overly complex series of preemptions and mandates. We all know what mandates look like since 2020. And so I guess my question is we're wondering if you are on our side. And you probably have more power to communicate with the state about this bill as it's being introduced than we do. It's an overwhelming process to try and go and testify. And we live, 5 hours away. But this is really scary stuff. And so will you guys have our backs?
So we don't normally respond during constituent time, but we will on this case for sure. This is, once again, just an absolute overreach. And we are fighting this. We have a meeting tomorrow afternoon with CCI, Colorado Counties Incorporated. And we're gonna start this process. CCI has been looking at this since before it was adopted, trying to get ahead of it. Even your larger city counties like Broomfield are very opposed to this. So it's getting a lot of attention statewide. I keep hoping that the legislature will do the right thing, but I also have very little faith in our state legislature to do the right thing. So we'll see what happens. But we are fighting this, and we will push that. And I appreciate your comments on the Pregnancy Resource Center also, just because that's a huge resource for a lot of expecting mothers that need that help. And I will make sure I will have a few conversations about that too. If you could get me that bill number, I would appreciate that. Do you have a bill
Oh, the
number
bill number
for the Pregnancy
Resource.
Resource
It
Center?
already passed.
Oh, it already
It
passed.
passed. Yeah, I listened to 8 hours of debate, and I listened to people on our side argue, fact-based stuff, and it passed just like that. It was so easy. When I listened to it pass, it blew me away because I didn't realize we could listen on YouTube to the back and forth and the talks about it. So I listened to all day, and then when they took a vote, it was literally like all in favor, aye, and all opposed, nay, and it sounded the same to me, and it was passed with the hammer.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Nobody, we had some other people signed up, but they didn't want to talk. Have you changed your mind? Nobody?
I'll give it a shot here.
Okay.
Becky Lightfoot, Star Allison Airport, 19,500 G Road Delta. Thank you so much for the sound system. Thank you. It's so nice to hear every word you're saying. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Is there anybody on the computer that would like to address the board?
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
I just see it as E. Do you want to unmute?
A person on a computer with the initial E?
Hi, this
You
is
might
Evelina
always-
Baida. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and your name?
Evelina Baida.
Okay.
Hi, I live in Crawford. And I just wanted to follow up on Ms. Martinez's question on the SB 23-213. It sounds like you will be having a meeting regarding this bill. Is that true? And is that why the work session on land use code for the unincorporated Delta County is being canceled?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. And I hope you stand with the county residents on this and not the state, because it sounds like the interests are converging here. I'm sorry, diverging here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on the computer?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go ahead with our agenda. Next up, County Clerk Terry Stevenson.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have the minutes for the March 21st, 2023 Board of County Commissioner regular meeting. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions?
I have none.
I have none.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Oh, okay. Next on the County Treasurer, Lisa Tafoya.
You might need to go to that microphone, Lisa.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robbie. This morning, I just have a deed to present based on the results of our 2023 county sale. We had an individual, Yvonne Taylor, that exercised her right of first refusal on her mineral rights under her parcel. The deed or the mineral rights were previously owned by the county. This deed will transfer them to Yvonne Taylor. The deed has been reviewed by the county attorney.
Good. I will move that the board approve and authorize the chairman to sign the mineral deed granting ownership to Yvonne Taylor located in Austin. Authorize the chairman to sign. I already said that.
I'll
Appreciate it.
step down and second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So passed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, board's consideration discussion of 2023 RFP 4 jail remodel design.
Okay, so as you'll remember, we put out this RFP, came back last month. We had one bidder on this project that came in at $982,000. At the desk, you'll see a letter. I met with them after approval from the board to go have a discussion. We talked about some of the issues that they put into their bid that weren't necessary. We've already spent a lot of time doing concept design with a separate architect firm to make sure that we get the design we need. We also, there were some questions on the structural support that they'd figured in here that they kind of got their answers to. And also that we are going to basically spec out our own plumbing equipment into those jail cells, which will save a lot of time for engineering on that end, which is something that we already talked about doing anyways with maintenance staff, because we need to make sure that they've got systems that work and are affordable and easily repaired. So with all those things and the discussion, we've got the price down to $731,640. So a price savings of over $250,000. I don't, given the nature of commercial design and government design, with all the government money flooding into counties, municipalities, I don't know that we're going to get any cheaper. And I don't know that we would have another bidder even show up if we did have another RFP go out for this. So I'm going to suggest that we probably move forward with this new number.
And we only had one bidder.
Correct. Right.
Submit a bid.
One bidder.
When this went out.
Yes. Yes.
And as I understand, that bid process was put out through the publication, the public was notified.
Yes.
And so then we just had one bidder.
Yeah, so it went out through our regular process and through BidNet Direct.
Okay.
It was out on BidNet. It was publicized in newspapers. So yes, it was standard procedure for the RFP.
Okay, thank you.
So.
Okay. What's the
We good?
will?
Okay, well then, I'll move that the board approve RFP 04 to Blythe Group and with the new revised price of $731,640, and that the board authorize myself to enter into contract for design.
I second that motion. Is there any further discussion? I note in our jail reports throughout the months that we have them, that the inmate population is increasing. And I'm glad Don is on this and put a lot of work into it, that we need the jails to be remodeled. If not, to cover all the flooding issues that the board inmates do.
Wow. And you got to remember, this building's 40 years old now. It was built in 1983 with very little upgrades. It's been absolutely minimal on the upgrades. So 40 years for a jail is a long time without a serious remodel, and I think it's due, and the work that the sheriff's office and everybody's put into this to make sure we get a concept that's going to work into the future. I think it'll be money well spent. So
We've had a motion and we've had a second. All those in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye, so passed. Thank you. Next up is the board's consideration of 2023 RFP 06 tractor with 22-inch boom mower. And we've had two bids on this one, looks like. Well, no, they submitted it but it wasn't in accordance with the public notice. So essentially, we just have one bidder on this.
Do we have a recommendation from Road and Bridge on this?
Road and Bridge recommends US Tractor and Harvest out of Fruta.
Then I will move that the board approve RFP 06, tractor with 22-foot boom mower to US Tractor and Harvest out of Fruta for $156,024.
I second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. And number 4 has been postponed, so we'll go to number 5. Another bid to be discussed is 2023 RFP-08 magnesium chloride.
You have 2 bids for mag chloride. This is the bid that is done annually. We have 1 bidder, number 1 out of Greeley Envirotech at $1.20 per unit price of mag chloride. Bidder number 2, Jimco out of Rifle at 0.859. Road and Bridge recommends Jimco out of Rifle. They have been providing the product and the service is acceptable.
I'll move that the board approve RFP 08 for magnesium chloride to Jimco Corporation out of Rifle for dollar amount of $85.859 per gallon.
And the total price is $111,670. I second that. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. The 6th item, consideration discussion for Bureau of Land Management environmental assessment for the Jumbo Mountain Area Comprehensive Travel and Transportation Management Plan.
Commissioner Coons asked that this be put on the agenda. The comment letter is due August 10th. April 10th, apologies, April 10th. Currently, the draft of this letter includes not specific support for any one alternative. There is a no action alternative. There is a resource protection alternative. There is a conservation alternative, and there's the preferred alternative. Commissioner Coons attended the public meeting. I attended one of the public meetings. We've had discussion with Western Slope Conservation Center, with the Nature Connection, with surrounding landowners, with the mine, as well as with individuals from the town of Paonia and the mountain bike group. So again, our draft letter right now contains the following recommendation to the Bureau of Land Management, that they consider not putting a 2-tier road closure or trail closure for wildlife, that if they're going to close the area for wildlife or seasonal, that they make it one seasonal, so to avoid confusion for the public, that they continue to address the access issue, as the access is very narrow and goes through subdivisions and potentially private land, and that they put into the discussion that there is the ability for hunters to retrieve their game on the Jumbo Mountain area. Is there any additional information that the commissioners would like us to put in the comment letter at this time?
I believe that pretty much covers my concerns, so.
Yeah. I have nothing further to add to that.
Okay, thank you.
Next up is the grant letter and the Forest Service.
Okay, the West Region Wildfire Council receives funding from Delta County each year to partner not only with Colorado State Forest Service, but the U.S. Forest Service to basically cost share with landowners to make their properties more fire resilient. And so the West Region Wildfire Council is moving forward with a grant for Colorado State Forest Service incentives for local government. What this grant letter then is asking is that Delta County will assist with grant match starting in 2024 to add to the entire dollars that will be secured with the Wildfire Council, with the work that the U.S. Forest Service is doing on the Grand Mesa, as well as with the work that the Colorado State Forest Service is doing in our more fire-prone areas, primarily the Colby Canyon area and Redlands Mesa. And so again, this is to go after additional funding for helping private landowners make their properties more fire resistant. And so we need this letter of support and signed by the 3 commissioners.
I will move that the board approve the letter to the CSFS for grant funds to assist the West Region Wildfire Council and committing to $50,000 of general funds as match.
I second that. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. Okay. That's, next up would be Lindsay, review of our BOCC schedule.
Okay, so tonight I have a Republican Party meeting at 6 p.m. Wednesday, April 5th, we have a spring flooding work session. April 6th, there is an AGNC legislative call.
Now, on April 5th, that flood meeting will be at 10 o'clock in the morning.
That's what I show.
Mhm. And then in the afternoon, we have a discussion to listen in on a Zoom call with the land use at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Correct.
Okay.
That tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, man, tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, yeah.
Okay. I don't know about this, but it's on the list.
Okay.
Thursday, April 6th, Western Slope Runoff High Water Coordination Meeting. And then
So I have that April 7th.
Yeah, that's April 7th. That's on Friday. The run, high water runoff, West Slope high water runoffs on
Right.
Friday.
Thank you. April 13th, another AGNC legislative call. And then April 18th, our regular BOCC meeting. And I think, do you want to leave it there? April 20th, I have another AGNC legislative call.
And those West Slope runoff high water meetings are weekly at this point on Fridays at 10.
And then we do have a North Fork flooding prep meeting for Monday, the 10th, from 10 to noon at the Maloney House on the fairgrounds.
And we will also be setting up a Surface Creek flood prep meeting that week also.
Great, thank you.
On the 12th and 13th, you go into that?
Yeah,
whole
I'll
meeting?
be at CCI on the 13th and 14th.
Well, 12th and 13th is the oil synopsis at
Oh.
Newcastle.
Oh, yes, the symposium in
Newcastle.
the Energy Symposium. Yeah.
On the 12th and the 13th.
Both of you are going.
I know, are you going to that?
Yeah.
Okay, Mike and Wendell will be going for sure. I'm registered, but with CCI 13th, 14th, I don't know if I'll make it to 12th or not, so.
Okay, great. We'll get that listed out. Thank you.
Okay. I'll do the jail report for Sunday, March 26, 2023. Male inmates, County Jail 35, female inmates, County Jail 9. Male inmates, Department of Corrections 5, female inmates, Department of Corrections 0, for a total of 49. On Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, the jail report, male inmates, 38, female inmates, 11. Male inmates, Department of Corrections 3, female inmates, Department of Corrections 0, for a total of 52. Okay, so nothing else. We'll adjourn until 10 o'clock for planning. Okay. Well, we'll reconvene. It's 10 o'clock for planning. We'll stay in order. We'll do 1, 2, and 3 if you have an agenda, and we'll go in that order. So we'll turn the time over to Carl, and Commissioner Kuntz is on Zoom.
Hi, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair. So this first item, Chavez item, there is an existing plat that was recorded. It was recorded with a plat note. The plat note restricts development on lots 2 and 3 to one single family residence. Lot 2 is allowed to have 2 residences. This is a standard plat note that was put on a lot of subdivisions in the past. However, this plat note does require board action to remove the plat note. The Chavez family is requesting to have the plat revised to remove that plat note so they could have a second unit. That's really all I have. That's the extent of this matter.
Okay. Any questions the board has?
I see the Chavez are here.
Okay.
Any questions for them?
You said it was kind of standard practice back in the day to put a note like that on. It wasn't specifically requested by the previous owners or anything like
That's
that.
correct, yes.
Okay.
The anti-growth mentality of county planners, right, Carl?
Commissioner Surface.
Sorry, Carl, couldn't resist. I have no questions.
None here.
Okay.
I will move that the board approve the removal of the plat note for the Our Dream minor subdivision, MS 98-052, allowing additional residences.
Second.
That. Been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Passed. Okay.
So the next item,
Chavez family, you guys don't have to stay for the rest of this if you don't want to. I mean, you're more than welcome. She's awful cute. She's the cutest thing we've had in here for a long time, so she can stay in here, but you guys don't have to stay.
Yeah, I tried to rush to get here to make it on time. Thank you guys so much. You have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so the next item that we have for you is PLN 22-158, which is Ballard subdivision. This is to accept dedication of right of way to Delta County for F Road as a public road. The property is located on the south side of F Road in Delta. So this is the plat. The area in yellow is lot 1, which is being subdivided off from the remainder of the parcel, which is lot 2. So you can see that on the right side of the screen. It is a large 80-acre parcel. So the dedication that is being given to the county is up there in the blue, which I realize it's hard to see from here. And it equates to 0.38 acres. So we're asking your board to accept that dedication to Delta County and authorize the chair to sign the final plat once we have it. And Mr. Ballard is here.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Ballard?
Unless you guys have any questions.
Okay. The only question that I have in our packet, it says, in the last sentence of the paragraph says, this is an adjustment to clean up the boundary lines between the two parcels as the fire department has constructed a separate access point along F Road, which is currently located on the applicant's parcel. Is that referring to the fire department's gate that this says it's still on the applicant's parcel, but it should be on the fire department's parcel?
So there is a 50-foot wide easement there. You can see the kind of the white part is where the fire department has built. That red hatched area is a boundary line adjustment, so that would be added to the fire department's parcel. So they have their own access separate from lot one. I understand Mr. Ballard is keeping that 50-foot easement, but at this point, the fire department will have their own access. They'll be able to have their two access points off of F Road to get in and out with their equipment. There was some discussion along the way about that as far as using that 50-foot access as a shared easement. But I believe Mr. Ballard has worked that out with the fire department. So we've cleaned all that up through this process.
Okay, so the fire department does have their own access gate and it's not located on the applicant's parcel.
But that easement is retaining just in case the fire department might need that at sometime in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I'll move that the board accept dedication of right of way to Delta County for PLN 22-158 Ballard, 0.38 acres, and authorize the chairman to sign.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, so done. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, on the third application, the Proc Investments, I have a conflict of interest, so I will not participate in the discussion or the vote on this. And I will recuse myself and leave the room while this is discussed, since I do have a conflict of interest with the Proc application. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, since I'm in the room and you are remote, with your permission, I'll run the meeting from this side.
Please do, sir.
Okay. All right, Mr. Holm.
Thank you.
Okay, so today we have PLN 22-066, which is Proc Investments LLC. This is to consider a limited use permit for an event venue, including 10 rentable rooms plus up to 10 RV spaces located southeast of Tessman Road in Delta. The subject property is a 76-acre parcel with a majority of the property currently irrigated ag ground. It has been zoned as A5 and is located southeast of Tessman Road. Again, this is a limited use permit for a multi-purpose event venue with 10 rentable rooms and 10 RV spaces. Under the 2021 Land Use Code, this would be reviewed administratively by the director. However, due to the noise and increased traffic to Tessman Road, as well as limited access, the director referred this application to the Planning Commission, which has made a recommendation to your board as required by the code. Next slide. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the application on February 22nd and continued the application to March 8th to address issues such as fire mitigation, access, and public safety. Staff met with the applicants on February 24th for PC follow-up. Staff then met with Delta County Sheriff, Emergency Management, and county engineering on March 3rd to discuss fire mitigation, access, and public safety. The planning commission met again on March 8th and have recommended approval subject to conditions. The parcel is located about 1.66 miles south of the city of Delta. The blue arrows illustrate the access point to the property from Testman Road, with the building site being located in the middle of the non-irrigated portion of the property. Next slide. Again, the property has been zoned A35. As you can see, the property abuts A5 zoning to the east, with a portion of A20 to the north. The majority of the area is A35 and consists of larger ag properties to the west. This is the revised site plan that has been submitted by the applicants. As illustrated here, the driveway will be 20 feet wide and will run parallel to the UVWA ditch easement. The parking, which is highlighted in red, is located to the north of the main building, with the lodging area located just to the west of the main building, highlighted here in green, with the septic located to the east of the main building, which is highlighted in purple. I have outlined the development area of the proposed venue in the aerial. This area is about 2 to 3 acres of non-irrigated land. Next slide. Currently, the business plan includes events that would occur on Fridays and Saturdays, about 35 events per year with up to 400 attendees. There will be a separate lodging facility with 10 guest rooms, as well as an area for 10 RV spaces. Hours of operations proposed are 9 a.m. to 1:30 a.m., with the average event duration being 4 to 6 hours. The remainder of the parcel will continue in ag production. Next slide. The main building will have 2 stories. The first floor will have a gathering/seating area, or the wedding area, a commercial kitchen, and restrooms for those in attendance. The second floor will consist of a bride and groom changing area, as well as an overlook area. The lodging area will consist of 10 rentable rooms with their own bathrooms, no kitchens. There's 1 point of ingress egress to the property from Testman Road. Proposed parking includes 150 spots for guests, along with the 10 RV spaces. Next slide. These are the design plans as submitted by the applicant and their architect. The top image is the first floor and the bottom image is the second floor. This was just to give you guys an idea of how the inside of the building will look. So you can see the restrooms there, the commercial kitchen to the top there, and then the wedding areas in that middle section. This is the design of the building from the outside. So the top image is what the building design will look like from the front as you approach it. And then the bottom image is what the back of the building will look like. So you can see the open space on the bottom, which is the doors, and then there are 2 staircases coming from the top. Next slide. The Planning Commission met on March 8th to discuss the application continued from February 22nd. The applicant submitted documentation in regards to the Tri-County water line as it pertains to fire mitigation, lighting examples, and liquor license requirements. The Planning Commission discussed the following items specifically, which were fire mitigation, irrigation ditches, stormwater permit requirements, lighting, access and traffic safety, liquor license requirements, and hours of operation. Tri-County Water has stated that hydrants require a 6-inch line minimum to operate and prevent collapse of the line. The nearest line that can support a hydrant is 0.8 miles away, and the estimated cost of upgrading a line to the property is $250,000. At the suggestion of Delta County Emergency Management, staff contacted the Division of Fire Prevention and Control to assess if there were any state regulations that would apply to this application, even though Delta County does not have adopted fire codes. Staff did not receive any confirmation on applicable state regulations. However, we did receive comments from the Delta Fire District on March 20th after the Planning Commission meeting. Their recommendation request is installation of sprinklers, the provision of a fire hydrant that meets the requirements of the fire department, and compliance with NFPA 1 and NFPA 101 standards for emergency vehicle access and egress. This is an aerial of the fire hydrants in the surrounding area. The image in the bottom right was submitted from Tri-County, which aligns with the aerial imagery provided by staff. And the closest hydrant is in the Snafflebit subdivision, which is circled there in yellow. Staff conducted a site visit and took pictures of the irrigation ditches, both on the subject property and directly west of the property, as they both limit the access to the parcel. As you can see in the left image, that is the irrigation ditch that is located along the eastern boundary line of the property with the head gate abutting Testman Road. The right image shows the irrigation ditch that is on the neighboring property to the north. The right image, the applicant has spoken with UVWA about moving the diversion ditch on the property. UVWA has agreed to work with the applicant in determining options for modifying or moving the delivery without adversely impacting the operation and maintenance of the lateral. Next slide. So numerous neighbors had concerns with lighting on the building and the property. The applicant submitted these example photos of lighting to be placed on both the building and surrounding areas of the property. So this just gives you a look of what it will look like once the building has been built. Next slide. County engineer applied local road standards to the project, which are the same as commercial local road standards. These standards require 2 7.5 foot wide lanes with 2 foot shoulders, which totals 19 feet wide. These are not required to be paved. The current width of the access is 20 feet. There was talk of an emergency or secondary access. However, no easement has been obtained for this purpose. These are images from Testman Road. The image on the top left is the entrance traveling on Testman Road west from 1600 Road. The image on the bottom right is traveling towards the entrance on Testman Road south from D Road. Next slide. This is a close-up of the entrance to the property. The gate seen here is for the neighbor to the west that shares the access point from Testman Road. Staff received concerns from the county sheriff in regards to Testman and 1600 roads. The 90-degree right-hand turn is a concern as this area has caused some issues in the past with drivers. There is also some concern for the intersection of Testman and 1600 roads, as there is a large cottonwood stump that obscures visibility for drivers turning north on 1600 from Testman. The county sheriff stated that 1600 road is a section of road where vehicles pick up speeds of 50 to 60 miles per hour, and that there have been numerous accidents on 1600 road. The sheriff feels a large scale event, large number of vehicles on the road with intoxication would mostly cause traffic issues on Testman Road. Staff proposed a T intersection, which is known as a three-way stop. That's a 90-degree right-hand turn on Testman. However, when we spoke with the sheriff, he did not feel that creating a controlled intersection on Testman Road or onto 1600 Road would alleviate traffic concerns in this area. Next slide. The top left image is of 1600 Road at the northwest corner. As you can see, there are DMEA electrical wires here, as well as a culvert and a head gate. The bottom right image is of 1600 Road traveling north towards Delta. That image there, you can see the tree stump where that was mentioned by the sheriff that obscures visibility down that road. Next slide. This is the map that was supplied with the traffic study. This illustrates the circulation for the event. As you can see, leaving the event onto Testman, vehicles will either go north towards D Road or east towards 1600 Road, and from 1600 Road north or south, depending on where they are headed. The project engineer, traffic engineer, excuse me, Skip Hudson, was in attendance at the March 8th Planning Commission meeting. He addressed travel management plans, traffic volumes, intersection changes, and traffic counts. Specifically to traffic volumes, Mr. Hudson stated that there were numerous options to control traffic, starting with the option of temporary control, which is done with a flagger. Next would be to realign the access road. This would be done by tying into the curve, which would be stop control from the property. And lastly, an all-way stop control, which is done with the three-way stop, otherwise known as the T-stop intersection. The planning commission asked Mr. Hudson what the best way to manage traffic was, to which he stated placing a condition on the permit that would allow traffic issues to be addressed at a point in time if something were to happen. Mr. Hudson added that he did not see these events causing enough of a traffic issue to warrant a change in the intersection. Next slide. This is the chart from the traffic study that shows the projected trip generation and timing for an event occurring on Saturday or Sunday afternoon with an assumed 5 p.m. event start time. This chart assumes 2.5 people per vehicle, which the project traffic engineer explained was based on research from the Federal Highway Administration guidelines for managing special events. Next slide. Staff received confirmation from CDPHE that the applicant will need to apply for a stormwater discharge permit. Any construction activity that disturbs more than 1 acre of land requires permit coverage under the state permit as required by the Water Quality Control Division. The applicant submitted documents from the state for a lodging and entertainment liquor license, which they will need to obtain outside this process. The applicants have agreed to amend the hours of operation to end music and alcohol at midnight, which would allow cleanup and venue closure to be done by 1:30 a.m. This is being part of the conditions of approval as recommended by the planning commission. Next slide.
1:30 a.m.
Next slide. No, that's sorry. Sorry. These are the development standards as set forth in the land use code. We've had numerous comments in regards to septic. County Environmental Health confirmed that for an RV park with 10 or less spaces, the OWTS system, which is the septic system, would need to be engineered to support the number of spaces as well as the main venue and lodging facility as required by Regulation 43. Again, the main concerns for this project are traffic with regards to safety, noise, fire mitigation, and septic. The planning commission voted 8-0 with 1 member abstaining from voting to recommend approval, subject to conditions. With that, staff recommends that your board find that PLN 22-066 Proc Investments LLC is consistent with applicable policies of the master plan and complies with the requirements of the land use code for a limited use permit, and conditionally approve PLN 22-066 Proc Investments LLC as an event venue including 10 restful rooms plus up to 10 RV spaces in the A35 zoning designation, subject to conditions. And that concludes my presentation.
Very good. Okay, so here's what we're going to do right now. We are going to open up the floor for public comment. This will be the public hearing portion of this application. Anyone that has signed up to speak will be allowed to come up here and state your concerns for or against this application. After the public has had a chance to comment, then the applicant will be allowed to come up and address any issues that were brought up by the public. And then at that time, the commissioners will question applicant and staff and make a decision from there. So right now I've got some people signed up here. If you did not get signed up, let me know. First on the list is Brenda Brown. You didn't?
I'm the applicant.
You're the applicant.
Sorry.
Okay. Then Mr. Proc, Ron Hayes,
Where do you want me?
right up here at the front. Make sure the light's on the microphone, and if you could state your name and address for the record.
Ron Hayes, 2153 Tessman Road, Delta. First of all, I'd like to say that this is a good idea. The event center is a good idea. I just think it's in the wrong place at the wrong time. I brought with me a list today, or a letter with 27 signatures on it of residents in the area that oppose this. They oppose this event center due to lack of infrastructure, water, fire prevention, entry, and roads, plus the road maintenance. This is a community concerned about daily life being affected on these local roads. The talking with these concerned citizens and my neighbors, there's five subdivisions represented, private landowners and business owners that will be affected. As far as I know, nobody went around and talked to folks in these subdivisions door to door until I started this on Friday with some help from people in the Mesa Crest subdivision. And my property is not in a subdivision, it is privately owned. We don't have to answer to anybody but you guys. When contacted, these neighbors seem to be, not really displeased with not being contacted either personally or by mail, but just that they weren't up to speed on it. Some of them didn't even know about it until yesterday, or as a matter of fact, one this morning. Some of the people I talked to in these subdivisions wanted to stay anonymous and wouldn't sign this because they want to avoid conflict. A couple business owners didn't want their name to be on a list because they were the repercussion. And I get that as well. Everybody I talk to is concerned about traffic, the noise, and fire prevention or a fire and law enforcement. 3 farmers were contacted, and they're also concerned, all of them living close, about the spraying and burning of their fields. And even harvesting, during, if there was an event there. Lifestyles will be changed as traffic increases, which brings up the road maintenance or lack of. The only thing that I've heard until the presentation today was the entrance being considered on Testman Road. And that was brought up by the sheriff on the other roads. The Y on 1600 Hill is currently a problem. And I avoided a confrontation there this morning. And the further you get closer to town, the worse the road gets. And then when you cross into the city limits, it's nothing but potholes, the train tracks, and then that stoplight. And anybody that's been at that stoplight recently, you have to wait after it turns green to let the traffic clear. There has been no new traffic study or that I have seen, and the last one was in 21. And to my knowledge, you don't keep records of the dates, just the years. There has been a lot of people build, so the traffic has increased as well as the construction traffic, and students or kids getting their driver's licenses. There has been deaths, but those houses have been replaced. And, the concern is also about some of these kids and their grandmothers wanting to be able to ride their bikes on the streets. At the corner of 1600 Road and Testman Road, at that T, my ditch runs underneath that, the continuation of my ditch from my head gate. I go out there constantly, and since that picture has been taken of where the stump is, that's where it is, that culvert right there. I've stood that delineator post up twice when it gets knocked over. It's just off of the picture there where that concrete head gate is. And you can constantly see where people drop their tires into that road. It's zoned ag, and there has been talk of a feedlot or another subdivision going in if this event center can't be put in. Well, since it's zoned ag, a feedlot fits right in, although I don't know who would do that right now. There's a couple for sale out there. I spoke to the developer of Snafflebit Station subdivision, and when it was first proposed years ago, Snafflebit subdivision or Snafflebit Station subdivision pretty much stayed as he applied. Now the 40 acres south where that school and church is being built now, he had a 10-year plan put on that where he would have to tie into city sewer someplace or have a sewer treatment plant put in for those lots that was going to be put in there. And now there's a school going in there and they want to put this event center straight west of the hill on top of that. So, you know, engineered sewage or septic would definitely have to come into play. Just brought up again, several people are concerned about the hours that the music would be played and that sound will carry. The funny thing about it is these construction sites or these houses that are being built in Snafflebit right now, those guys play music all day long and it does carry. You can hear it from quite a way just from the speaker on their phone or their little speakers that they carry with them. I'm just concerned that all of us that live out there on a daily basis will have to deal with this on a daily basis. We're not employees where we can leave at 1:30 in the morning when it's cleaned up. And we'll probably have to go out and clean up trash off the roads anyway, because that's human nature. And, you know, we've all been to weddings and at venues and things like that, that things happen. I don't think we can stay consistent with the surveys or that were taken in this rural area of ours, and especially with the roads and the condition of it. Hasn't been that long ago that road was gravel itself. So having that all been said, we're just concerned about keeping our neighborhood as it is and rural. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Marty Elliott.
I'm Marty Elliott at 2364 Ridge Road. My concern is, you know, it's rezoning. You know, when we rezone, a proposed rezoning should provide a benefit to the immediate area, and in which is sufficient to offset any potential adverse effects. When we come as neighborhoods, we move into a neighborhood agricultural area. That's what it's zoned for. I invest with money hoping to maintain my values. But when we allow people to put junkyards in some place they want, or a salvage yard within this, and the land use code says, well, we're not sure what to do with it, the subdivision take care of it, my land values fall. When I come into a peaceful neighborhood, I don't expect to be backhanded and stabbed because you zone this for a business area. That's why as a community of people, we zone areas to be, this is going to be industrial, this will be the business area, you know, this is going to be agriculture, and we keep those in a zone so that everyone can benefit from it. And with this, I don't feel, you know, the people around it invested in a certain thing. They invested in the peacefulness of the area. They invested that I'd be in agriculture and I'd be in a subdivision area. I don't think anyone out there, they knew that it would grow with people. And so I think, you know, you're also setting up, you know, your law enforcement. If you do have a complaint there, who's going to take care of it? The private security? You know, now the law enforcement's going to come and say, well, they have a right to be noisy. But yet my neighbor, if he has barking dogs or played loud music, I have a way to go back on that. But now you've tied the hand of law enforcement because you're going to say, he's going to say, well, it's zoned for it. There's nothing I can do for it. And which it is by doing that. And it just, you know, so we have that part. And then like that, the ticket, you know, the heavier traffic will be a problem at 2 a.m. in the morning. You know, like I said, I've want to enjoy my back, whether it's 10 o'clock at night, my neighbors aren't making noise. You know, it is going to be heavier traffic. A lot of places, in fact, that are private rental units have required as their, from what I heard, part of their, like the Elks, that you have to provide private security with your rental because of the incidents they've had involving the guests there. So, you know, it's proposed also that this is going to be a Friday, Saturday thing, one time in the evening. I hate to say it, they're going to do well, and they're going to do very well because there is no place in Delta County. But this is the wrong place for that to happen. It's also interfering with the guests there because they want to have a good time, you know, and they want to be loud and have a party, and they may want to even have it outside. Who wouldn't want to have a venue outside in the summertime? So it could be in a lot better area than what it is. And so you're restricting those guests too. Also, I think we need to consider too, you just approved, from what I understand, a school and I guess somewhat of a church thing just to the south of Snafflebit. And yet now you're gonna be issuing an alcohol permit adjacent to a school. So, you know, would we do one across from Garnet Mesa? If I wanted to open a bar there or have, you know, something in my garage, it would be shut down. It's too close to the school. I mean, and also the traffic is gonna change too, because this is also children there in a subdivision. I mean, the subdivision just isn't older adults. One particular one is, but there are children there. So now you're gonna have a heavier traffic through the subdivisions. I'm sorry, it just happens. And now we're changing our lifestyle to appease a venue. You know, the venue isn't changing for us. Everyone around it's changing for them. You know, I know to the south, it's changed hands, but they also have a duck hunting pond there. Is this gonna bring, you know, if he wants to make that more commercial, which is very likely because of hunting and the money you can bring in with it, is that gonna bring up a possible thing? He's already zoned for it because he is agriculture, but yet he's gonna maybe have to change because of our rezoning. Because everyone around it, it seems like, is having to change and not just, you know, the venue. And I think that's the thing is, we were, you know, knew we were moving into an agriculture residential area, and now we're taking it into a business with higher traffic, and we're losing what we bought that piece of property for. We're losing what we want to sell that to someone else for. Because, you know, just like that, who's going to buy it? If the more action, if you buy an interstate, your property value is not going to be as good as if it's away from something. And I think we were intended on one thing because we went by the zoning, and now we're changing zoning, which I do not think is a benefit to the community and the immediate area being out there by Snafflebit and Mesa Crest subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are the only folks I have that signed up to want to speak. Is there anybody else? Come on up.
My name is John Elmy. I live at 2694 Ridge Road, part of the Mesa Crest Estate subdivision. I agree with everything that people have brought up to this point. One thing I would want to add to, though, is the concern about the lighting. And this seems to be evolving. What we just saw here today, there'll be a 1 acre parking lot for the facility. I'm assuming that if the venue is going to be allowed to operate until midnight, there's going to need to be lighting in that parking lot. And I can foresee, you know, a pretty obnoxious glow up on the hill from all the lighting that may be necessary for the welfare of their guests. I don't think that's really been addressed. The lighting plan that we saw here today has more to do with the facilities themselves, and no mention made of the parking lot and how that would be lit to try to mitigate some of the effects that people in the surrounding area are going to have to put up with. Beyond that, I have nothing else to add besides what other people have already said. Thank you.
Anybody online that would like to speak on this application? Okay, we're gonna move to the applicant. You guys want to come up here and
Thanks. I'm Zach Prock, 72015 Kennecott Road, Montrose, Colorado. So really, I guess if I back up, the purpose of this event venue, or how it all came about, was I'm working with Brenda Brown at Mesa Rentals. There's another business in Delta that I own currently. And we service a lot of different events, whether it's weddings or retirement parties or graduation parties. We do a lot of those types of things, and there's just not really a really good event venue. And we thought that there was the need. So we found a neat piece of property that we think is close to town, that is, that can still service everybody. And we thought would work really well for things. And then at the same time, at 76 acres, we could put our building in the middle of it and keep the rest of it green and keep it an ag and not turn it into another subdivision. And so we liked the location and liked what it was all about. So that's kind of how it all started and went forward. And we think that we do have a really good location that is close to town and can provide a really good service. So, I know there's a lot of different concerns. I think some of those concerns we can address. Some of those are out of my control and are pre-existing. I think overall our traffic study came back well, and that it is low volume. I don't think that we're going to have a very big impact on our neighborhood and surrounding area. I live right next to an event center now. My folks run one in Montrose, Colorado. It's on Kennecott Road, and they have 400 people there consistently. And I've never had a time when I pulled out my driveway and I had to wait for anybody. There really is, the impact, I think, will surprise everybody and be a lot lower than what everybody thinks. We want to be an asset to the community and an asset and make this a really nice area. So I think with that, I'll kind of turn it over. Maybe Brenda will talk a little bit, and then I'll just answer questions for you guys afterwards.
If you want to stay there, Brenda can come up. Brenda, do you want to come up?
Hi, I'm Brenda Brown, 508-1740 Road here in Delta. I've been living in Delta all my life, born and raised, and Zach and I have been doing this business now for a little over 4 years. I have done weddings for almost 30 years in Delta County, and just wanted to let everyone know we do have that big 400 number there, and everybody sees that and they're thinking that that's what every wedding is going to be. That is not. The 400 number came from, I've worked with the hospital, I've worked with the chamber, and they are wanting to use this facility as well for their annual banquets. That's where that big number came from. And I just wanted to make that clear to everyone, so they're not thinking that every wedding is going to be 400 guests. Like I said, I've been doing weddings for almost 30 years, and out of those 30 years, twice have I done 2 weddings that were 300 guests. Other than that, they're usually around 100 to 150 max. So, and that being said, it's when you go to a wedding, not everybody comes and goes at the same time. So the traffic is going to be different. It's not going to be, everyone's going to be on that road at one time. So I just wanted to make that clear to everyone.
Okay, so at this point in time, we'll have commissioner discussion. Commissioner Kuntz, do you have any questions to start with?
Commissioner Slupas, thank you. I do have a few questions. From the proposed event venue, in the notes, it said that the main door will be facing south away from Snafflebit and Mesa Crest. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What provisions will you make inside the building for noise mitigation?
I mean, we want the same sound type of, we can't go into a noisy box and it just sit there and echo. So we'll definitely do some things to quiet that and to keep that down. The overall building is it's not just a shell, it's gonna be insulated, throughout. So it's not gonna be a big boom box on the hill.
We've implemented some measures at Heritage Hall at Delta County Fairgrounds for noise mitigation. Certainly a different type of a building. If noise gets to be an issue, would you be willing to employ some kind of sound dampening system or hours operation adjustments to mitigate that noise?
Sure, I mean, I think we've already looked at closing things down sooner than what we had originally proposed, and stopping everything at midnight. So, yeah, as we said earlier, I want to be an asset to the community, and I want everybody to be happy that I'm there. So we're game to work with everybody.
Okay. Commissioner, I have one other question, and that's on lights. Certainly the building lighting plan was well presented there. Somebody else brought up lights in the parking area. Would all lights for the event venue be hooded or downward facing to mitigate that?
Yeah, and I think by the electrical code, I think that is a requirement anyway. But even out in the parking lot, we don't want to have a 15-foot pole with a light on top of it. We want to keep, some short ballards that will keep the light close to the ground and not so far off the ground.
Very good. Commissioner, that's all the questions I have right now. Go ahead.
Okay, so my big concerns here is ingress egress, just because the minimum amount of space. Is there going to be something in a policy that's going to allow or require parking staff for venues that reach a certain level? Just so we don't have a buildup of people on that ingress and egress spot, because it is pretty narrow. And I get what you're saying. I mean, most of your venues are not going to be large, but if you do hit that 400 mark, we're talking 250 plus vehicles.
Right.
And ingress egress is going to be important, not only for maintaining traffic on Tessman, but also in case of emergency services need to come in or out.
And I think what we put in the previous deal from that staff has in there is that, that would be, we would work with traffic in Delta County, to mitigate those things. We would just kind of, as things came up or as we need to modify things, that we would be willing to do that.
So, and my concern here is, this is a private venue. It really shouldn't be something Delta County is involved in maintaining your traffic.
I agree.
So this should be a policy that's set forth by your organization, that if, we reach a certain number of vehicles, that we're going to require, whoever's renting the space provide some kind of a parking help. Even, I mean, you see it in large venues all the time where they're pointing people to parking places, helping the traffic get through. And I just want to make sure that we've got something in the plan there, and it doesn't fall back on the county to make sure that that's happening. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm just not sure where that breaking point is. Is it a 350 people to 400 people, then you have a flagger, or where that is? We did hire a traffic consultant to look at all of that. And, he didn't think that there was a certain point where we needed to have somebody available. I don't think that we want to have a problem on the main road. And I think actually in that corner has a really good amount of visibility, but if there's a way of kind of figuring out where that line is, I think we're open to that.
Sir, I'm a commissioner. I don't
Yeah,
present
me too.
answers, I present problems, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Staff, anything else that needs to be addressed after public comment or applicant comments?
If I may, Mr. Chair, so relative to the lighting code does require, but also condition 10 speaks to being hooded or shielded cutoff lighting. So it doesn't cast glare. To the point we were just talking about traffic, condition 5 just does talk about the traffic engineer working with county engineer, come up with plan for, and it could be for different types of events, different numbers, but it includes potential for flagging if needed. And in the traffic study that was done, I want to highlight that most of the impact is traffic coming into the event. That's when it'll all be coming more at the same time. Leaving will be more dispersed. So it's really that coming in, getting them off of the road. They have a nice long access there. But yeah, helping get people parked so they're not backing up onto the road would be the main thing. But the way this site is laid out, again, there's a lot of space for cars to queue, to get off the road, hopefully easily, and quickly. Relative to the noise, there is condition number 2, and Mr. Proc has agreed to that there'll be no outside activity after 9 PM. So 9 PM, everything goes inside, and then things close down at 12 o'clock as far as the alcohol and the music. So we have tried to address those matters in the conditions. If there's a problem in the future, there's the ability to work with the applicant to adjust the conditions to try to address those concerns. The other thing that I would like to address is there was a mention relative to rezoning. We're not rezoning the property. It is a type of commercial use in the A35 zone that is allowed with a limited use, but it is not actually rezoning. So I just want to make that clarification. It's a land use entitlement for the commercial use on the property.
Commissioner Kuntz, anything else to add?
Yes, I had one more question.
Okay.
In the application package and in the presentation, there was talk of fire prevention. I never understood where it finally ended up, whether it's a dedicated 6-inch water line, sprinkler system, or a cistern, or fire extinguishers. Did that ever get satisfied?
Yeah, so that is a tough issue. So if we run that 6-inch line, I think that pretty well kills the deal. I think it's too expensive to extend that line to the venue. What we did do is we went back through and like if Kate pulls up we went back through, I had my architect look at everything to try to satisfy any other fire code. So if there was anywhere in the building that was over 75 feet away from an exit, we put another exit. We added 2 additional staircases, exits from the upstairs coming down off the back of the building that weren't there before, as seen in this bottom picture. And so we've went through and added all kinds of other things because we are in a volunteer fire district. I'm sure our response times aren't as fast as what they are when you have just a dedicated team that's doing that. And so we tried to look at what else we can do to add more, fire escapes to the building. So we've done all of that and added some more exits as well. So I think to try to do everything that we can in our power, because I don't think that it's possible to extend that 6-inch line.
If I may add, so as Mr. Proc just mentioned, there is a fire hydrant there in Snaffle, but it's on a 4-inch line. So to get the size of the line and the pressurization, that's where it's about almost a mile to get to the site. So it hasn't been stated that they have to put in a hydrant or fire sprinklers. Mr. Proc has worked with his architect to come up with design of the building. Planning Commission did suggest maybe they've included a recommended condition, have a fire mitigation plan. So it's design and operation. So how they would operate in the case of a hazard or emergency, without necessarily saying that they need to have fire sprinklers or a fire hydrant. And so then that plan would be reviewed by the fire department for their acceptance.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how that works either. I mean, Bryce is the fire chief there, but won't work with us directly. Will only work through, I guess, through you guys. I'm just not sure how we really figure out what he, is he really the right guy to make those decisions as a volunteer fire chief? And, what are we really doing? I mean, if there is no code in the county and we're doing everything we can to make sure that we have all the exits possible, that we have an architect look at all of that, we have all the fire suppression there. Our main thing is trying to make sure that we have everybody outside the building, because more than likely we're not going to have somebody there to put out the fire. And I think we've done that. I mean, those other couple exits out the back are expensive, but we want to make sure everybody's safe.
So, the part about fire sprinklers, it's a little bit of a misnomer, because, building fire sprinkler systems aren't designed to save the building. They're designed to save the building next to it. So, and So that's, that's kind of asking for the installation of a sprinkler system in here. Given the proximity to other structures is questionable. I do think, proximity of a fire hydrant closer would probably be better. But, the number one concern here is egress out of the building, making sure that building is evacuatable. If you've had an architect do that life safety standard on that building, they're the trained professionals, stamp professionals, they're the ones that make that decision, so.
We have, and we will definitely follow, those actions that he's been willing to stand on that whole thing.
Yeah, it's that architect's job to make sure that happens. It's his liability, so.
Correct.
Commissioner Kuntz, anything else?
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, do you have any input on this?
I do, hang on this second. I'm going to move that we approve PLN 22-066, the Proc Investments Limited Use Permit for an event venue, including 10 rentable rooms plus up to 10 RV spaces. With the conditions.
Commissioner Kuntz, I'm going to cut you off there because I believe we have a resolution for this.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize there's a resolution. Then I have nothing else. Go ahead.
So it'll be resolution 08. So it's page 11 of the packet. You have the packet there?
I do. I was having a hard time loading it.
Okay. All right, then. I'll step down and make that motion.
Would you please?
Just because of logistics here, but.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have a point of reference.
Okay, so the public comment period's done, but if you have a particular question, I will allow this one.
Is there a conservation easement on this property?
Planning?
Ever have been any monies ever changed hands, even with previous owners?
We did not find one in our research.
It has been brought up that there has been.
We haven't found one in our research, so, but thank you. So.
Don, the resolution loaded. Want me to go ahead?
Well, just give me 1 second here. I appreciate everybody's concern. I really do. It's everybody's said this is, this would be a great thing. Just don't want it in my backyard. And I get that. And sitting here on land use issues, we deal with that a lot, not in my backyard. Yeah, I like it, but not in my backyard. And that's not a reason for denial. When we deny an application, state statutes are set out that we have to deny based upon our regulations. And staff, planning commission have found that this application is within our regulations. I understand neighbors not wanting their neighborhood to change. I understand everybody wants to keep it the same, but I'd imagine when the subdivisions were done at that time, there were probably people that were upset that ag ground was becoming a subdivision at that time. So the only constant we have in land use is change, I'm afraid. So with that being said, I will step down as temporary chair here and make a motion that the board adopt resolution number 2023-R-08. Resolution conditionally approving a limited use permit for a wedding/event venue, including 10 rentable rooms plus up to 10 RV spaces, generally located southeast of Tessman Road in Delta.
Second.
Solution does list all the conditions.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion, second on the floor. we will before we vote, we'll let the record show that Commissioner Lane has recused himself and has not been present for any of the discussion nor the voting. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Carl?
That concludes planning.
Okay. Then we will close down planning. We'll take a quick 5-minute break and then we'll go into county attorney time.
We'll come back on the record for this BOCC meeting. The next item up is County Attorney John Bear.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioner Lane. I have one item for the board to consider for the board this morning, and that would be under executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402-4B. The topic would be discussion and advice regarding membership qualifications for the Board of Adjustment. So I would recommend that the board go into executive session to discuss that topic. I'll remind everyone present that first of all, the recording does not have to be made in this particular situation, and also to restrain your comments and discussion to that particular topic. I do see that Commissioner Kuntz is still on the Zoom. Commissioner, we don't typically do executive sessions with an open Zoom. Are you willing to just phone in once we kind of stop here so the Zoom could be ended?
I can do that.
Okay. What's the best? What should he call then?
He can call Robbie's phone.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Any of those phones.
There is, it's easier, I figured.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. Well, I'll move that the board go into executive session for the advice of counsel under section 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B of the Colorado Revised Statutes. Present in this executive session will be the 3 commissioners, Terry Stevenson, Robbie LaValle, John Bear, and that we will adjourn immediately following.
Is Mr. Holm gonna be here?
And Mr. Holm will also be here. Okay. We will adjourn directly following.
I second that motion. A motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. And then we'll wait for Commissioner Kuntz to